it sort of gets dark a little bit earlier, and we kind of hunker down. In our house, we listen to Christmas music, and we eat a lot of Christmas cookies. The other night, my family were here for the Peter Ide concert, and if you missed it, you missed out big time. It was a great night. But we bought several CDs there, and one of the songs on one of those CDs has quickly now become one of our family's favorites this year. It's The Most Wonderful Time of the Year. You've heard this before, right? And we love that song because this year just feels that way. It's a wonderful time of the year. For example, we got an early dose of Christmas this year. The ground has been covered with that beautiful white stuff for weeks, right? And when the white stuff fell, it led me to a trip out into the garage to take the lawnmower off of the lawn tractor and put the snowblower attachment on. It's a procedure that I anticipate will take, or at least tell my wife that this is going to take an hour or so. And this year it only took 4 hours. And a handful of choice words to do. Yep, help me here. It's the most wonderful time of year. Yep, and like many of you, we're having company for Christmas. And of course, we want our house to be just looking the best. And so over the past couple of weeks, have come reminders from my wife that shower that's been malfunctioning for several months still isn't working, and it absolutely must get my attention before company comes. Yep, it's that most wonderful time of year. Amen. Oh, and there are those wonderful bins of holiday trinkets that we have to haul out of storage. A tree needed to be purchased and decorated. Lights need to be tested, and of course they don't work, and so we have to run and buy more. There's baking to be done, cookies and lefse, don't you know? And the Christmas meal must be planned, and I suppose that crazy Uncle Paul is going to be there, and I bet he's going to expect a plate of lutefisk. Oh, and there's that pathetic Christmas letter that we've got to write again this year. You know, the one that goes, oh, our family is so perfect and everyone's bright and wonderful. Yep, it's the most wonderful time of year. There are Christmas concerts and parties and sales. We've got to take the kids to Santa. Got to get that picture, get those lights on the house, buy a wreath for the front door, replace the ornaments our kids have already broken. You got to find a sweater for that ugly sweater party. Got to get the fish house out, bake some more cookies, attend another party, and oh yes, there's shopping. Shopping. We got to do the shopping. I've got so much shopping to do. Get that credit card ready. And please, God, don't let another argument break out at Christmas dinner between the respective Republicans and Democrats in our family. Yup, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Is it just me? Or doesn't it seem this time of year, there's just plain too much? This time of year is filled with far too many things we are led to believe we are supposed to do. Christmas just isn't Christmas if we don't do this or we don't do that. And of course, most of it is all well-intentioned, but if you're like my family, it just feels like too much now and then. We hear it in the stores. If you don't buy this or that product, Christmas isn't Christmas. We hear it around town. You've got to attend this event and that event. Parents, in-laws, friends remind us of all the things we're not doing this Christmas. If you're not like my family, there are a whole lot of things we've been told we're supposed to do in order for Christmas to be Christmas. And in the end, maybe we're alone in this, but I think for most of us, it leaves us feeling a little bit strung out, a little bit nutty. Not always in the Christmas mood. It just doesn't always feel like the most wonderful time of year. Well, in our reading today from the book of Mark, Mark saw all the ways the people of that ancient world had been sort of seduced into believing what life life was supposed to look like, what they were supposed to do, what they were supposed to feel and value. And to all of that, Mark says, no way. No way. That's not what the life of faith looks like or is all about. But in no way. You see, in the first couple of words in our gospel reading tonight, in the first line there, open your bulletin to our gospel reading today. In that first line from the book of Mark, the very first words in the book of Mark, we hear these words, the beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. As Mark begins to tell the story of Jesus breaking into this world, he says, this is the beginning of the good news. Another word for good news is gospel. This is the gospel of Jesus Christ. You see, in that ancient world, way back when, the word gospel wasn't just a light word that we throw out. It was a technical word that had a lot of meaning. It was a political word that Mark was using there. A word used for news of a victory after a military campaign. People would say, this is the gospel, the good news. It was a word associated with the political propaganda of that powerful Rome that sought to coerce people's hearts and minds. Gospel was what the ruthless Caesar brought. Life under Caesar was filled with all kinds of propaganda, all kinds of messages that told you what life was supposed to be like, what was supposed to be important to you, what you were supposed to do. And so when Mark begins his gospel, the story of Jesus' life with, this is the beginning of the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, he's announcing here a new gospel. And it's scandalous. It's scandalous. It's unbelievable. It was like protesters blocking travel on the Brooklyn Bridge or on I-35. It didn't go with the flow. It didn't follow the status quo. It didn't just go along with what everybody believed they were supposed to do. Mark was saying, no way. You see, Mark is announcing something totally new in Jesus. A new gospel, a totally new good news that didn't fit with what everyone believed was life was really supposed to be all about. And you know the story. You know where the story goes. Rather than the story of Jesus beginning in the halls of power with the elite and the muckety-mucks, the story of Jesus for Mark begins where? Well, we heard it today. With this nutball, absolute nutball of a character, John, who's dressed not in a suit and tie or even business casual. Rather, he's so poor he's wearing animal skins. He's not eating at Doolittle's, he's eating bugs. He's not wading in the crystal clear waters of Lake Lahamadu. He's baptizing in the swampy, muddy, mucky, messy waters of the Jordan River. Folks, from the very beginning, this is the new gospel that Mark shares. It's not about people with perfect, polished lives, but about real, earthy people. You see, Mark was announcing a story of God breaking into this world, not through the power of Caesar, but way out in the wilderness. And it's a gospel for real people who are just trying to raise their families and make a go of it. Folks tired of all they felt they were supposed to do. All they felt they were supposed to be. It was a gospel, well, it was a gospel, I guess you could say, for people who were tired of faking it. And so, folks, I wonder if this year, this holiday time of year, I wonder if this time of year many of us long for a new gospel too. Like Caesar's gospel, we know the gospels of our world, don't we? The gospel of consumerism that tells you if you just buy this one more gift, you'll have that perfect Christmas. That gospel of status that tells you that your Christmas letter should include fabulous vacations, right? Kids attending Ivy League schools, whether it be colleges or daycare. That gospel that tells you we need to keep up with the Joneses next door. We got to be at everything, do everything, accomplish everything at any cost. That be happy gospel, right? That says you should be happy this time of year. It's Christmas after all. Folks, I don't know that we're all that different than those ancient people. The empires of consumerism and busyness have told us what Christmas is supposed to look like. I don't know about you, but I think we need a new gospel too. One of our family's favorite movies during the holidays is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Anybody else? Amen? And we watch it every year, most of the time, several times. And I was thinking, why is it that we love this ridiculous movie so much? It's not a real well-made movie. I think we love it because, okay, you remember, the holiday season starts with Clark's great dreams of the perfect Christmas, right? But inevitably, you know how the story goes. The turkey turns out to be bone dry, right? The lights don't work. They find a squirrel in the Christmas tree, and in the midst of all that, and much, much more, the ridiculous relatives show up and they stay far too long. Admit it, in your family, you have an Uncle Eddie. We all do. I think we love that movie, folks. We love it because we know that storyline really well. Because generally speaking, we can all relate. In all our attempts to follow the gospel of consumerism, that consumerism Christmas, we know all too well the disappointments and the blunders of Clark Griswold. That's why, folks, like the people Mark was writing to in the book of Mark, I think we need, maybe more than ever, that new gospel that Mark tells. A gospel that's not about the perfectly decorated house or having the perfect family or the perfect marriage or the perfect lives or the perfect presents. A gospel not about all the crazy consumerism we're told that makes the perfect Christmas. A gospel not about maxing out the visa. Folks, we need a gospel that isn't necessarily about the magical, perfect Christmas. Rather, I think what we need more than anything else is a gospel like we hear in the book of Mark. A gospel that's anything but perfect or magical. You know the story. The only one announcing Jesus coming into this world is this crazy cousin out in the desert named John. I always think Jesus' family probably called him Cousin Eddie. Mary and Joseph, they weren't a perfect family, unwed, not certain necessarily that they belonged together. There was no room in the inn. They were anxious. They were scared. And that first Christmas, think of all the awkward hosting they had to do that night. With those stinky old shepherds and those strangers, those wise men showing up. It wasn't a perfect story. But God broke in. And God broke into this world right where God wanted to be. In the midst of a real, messy, murky life. Folks, my prayer for each one of you this Christmas is that you and your family would be surrounded by a new gospel. New good news. Not the gospel we're told the season is all about, but a more simple gospel. The simple gospel of God breaking in and meeting you and your family right where you are. My hope for you is a season in which you are reminded that in Jesus, God breaks into your real life. Your real life. To break in to you with love, as love. So that you know more than anything else, you are loved. You are worthy. You're a child